Marie, talk us through the Belle family. Where did that all begin?
Dad used to graze for a friend of his. He was a lot older gentleman, Mr. Trimlett from New Plymouth, who was a butcher. Used to graze his mare and look after the foals, and he'd wean them and handle them and everything. And Mr. Trimlett had never paid him any grazing, and Dad said to him one Sunday morning, "Oh, what are you going to do with the mare this year?" And Mr. Trimlett said, "Well," he said, "you know, you've had the mare here for years. You can have the use of the mare if you want to this year." So Dad sent the mare to Foxbridge. Now, she didn't get in foal that first year. He sent her back the next year, and the resulting foal was Belle Fox.
Obviously our focus is around Melody Belle and then of course Melody Belle. How did Melody Belle end up getting her name?
Oh, one of my daughters named her, because I actually raised her with my 2 daughters and a son-in-law. So we raised her at 25% each, but she came back to me at the end of her racing. Well, she only won one race, and then she went to miss in the 1,000 guineas down at Riccarton. And that was the end of her racing career.
Fast forward to her breeding career, what was the first stallion that you sent her to and what's sort of happened since?
The first stallion I sent her to was Commands, and the reason I sent her there was when I'd been in Australia, each time I'd gone across there looking at stallions, he'd always stood out to me, and his second dam was 8 Carat, Sir Patrick's family, and I felt that I wanted to cross one of our Belle family with one of Patrick's family, and I felt it had to be a good mating, and so it's proved.
It was a day like today. She foaled during the day. It was Malika's first foal, and we were all out there, and we got this, it's tiny little first foal, skinny, nothing to write home about, but she grew into a lovely filly.
I was actually travelling, I was overseas when she had her first foal, but Mum was ready to send me all the photos, and I was very, very proud of her, and yeah.
I think Marie was here either the day or the second day after. And you know, some foals are born that you tell the owner, come and see it today. Melody Belle was just another foal. We'd, you know, obviously buy Commands. Marie had spent good money. I think we, as a group, had sent 3 mares to Commands that year. So we're really looking forward to them. And you know, the great thing is Melody Belle was a very good mother. Had really good milk, and the foal improved very, very quickly.
She went down the road to the Caracas sales. What was the interest like in her?
The interest was fair because she wasn't perfect in front, and I think, you know, when you go into a yearling sales environment, there's 1,300, you know, 12 to 1,300 yearlings. It's the biggest race of their life, and it's all about a beauty contest, fundamentally. So she didn't tick all the boxes, but she ticked a couple of very important boxes, I think: constitution and temperament.
I saw her for the first time at the sale, and I remember as soon as I'd finished looking at her, I rang Jamie and I said, I found one. This could be a crack a million filly.
You went and had a look yourself. What did you think?
Yeah, no, lovely filly. Probably a little bit immature at the sale. She was a first foal of a young Ifraj mare in Melody Belle who we knew a little bit about. She obviously ran in the 1,000 guineas, was trained by Lance Noble. So we did our research and by a very good stallion in Commands.
Well, it was at the Caracas sales, and she was one of the horses that we had on our short list as potential horses to buy. We were looking for a Caracas million type, as we always do at that sale. And David and Jamie had said, well, she was one of 6 or 7 that sort of fitted the bill. We'd missed out on 3 or 4 because we had a budget of just 80,000, and the 3 or 4 we missed out on had all gone over my budget. And at Fortuna we're very firm on budget. And so it was late in the day, and I'd got on the car to go home. I thought we're just not going to get anything. And I was travelling home from Auckland to Hamilton, and Jamie gave me a call and said, oh, we secured that Commands filly for you. Under budget, and I said, how much under budget? And he said 57,500. So I sort of went, well, I
I was bitterly disappointed with the price I got because it didn't cover my costs. David and Jamie had been and looked at her several times. So I was pleased it had gone there, and I thought, well, she'll get every opportunity.
You know, we had a reserve of 60,000. I think probably the proper costs were closer to 90,000. But again, we always want to get horses on the market and get them sold. David was the only person to put the hand up at 57,500, and we considered that, you know, going into one of the leading, if not the leading stable in New Zealand was a positive thing for a young Ep6 mare and a Commands filly. So we accepted the price and moved on.
And she just kept improving all the way through. She won her first trial at Avondale, won her first race at Ruakaka, and she just kept improving right throughout her season. And to be honest, the scary thing is she just keeps getting better the older she gets.
Melody Belle, high flyer in our Aberdeen. Melody Belle, she is so tough. Melody Belle. She's been too good for high flyer, our Aberdeen.
Oh, to see Jamie win his first Group 1 on his own with her was very emotional for me.
He's stolen your line, Jamie. Was that going to be yours too?
Yeah, exactly. The Foxbridge was pretty special for me because I worked for Mark and Lisa Chittick, and they were pretty important in getting me going before I got to Dave. So that was a pretty emotional win for me as well. But I guess coming out of partnership and into your own right, she's been such an important horse for me to get going, and you know, 3 starts in the spring for a Group 2 and 2 Group 1s was just amazing, and as Dave said, it gave, you know, the staff great confidence that we were doing things properly. It gives your other owners confidence, and it just gets the stable really going when you've got that headline horse. So it was incredibly important for the, you know, the first bit of the season for us when I was out on my own.
Probably the Windsor Park Plate was a really dominant win, and so that's one that I would single out, I think.
I have watched every race.
Yeah.
Either been there or watched every race, and as she's coming, and once she turns for home, I'm out of my chair and I am into the television, going like this, saying, "Go!"
Yeah. Has there been a highlight for you during that career? I mean, there's a number of great successes, but is there one that's really important or significant to you?
They're all important.
Yeah.
From that first race right through. It doesn't matter what the race is, it's the thrill of winning.
It's quite funny, we have a little bit of not a betting, we have picks.
Our star stable.
Stable through the stud. And I think most of us picked Melody Belle.
Okay.
And when you pick a
Hanui graduate, it's double points. So
so
we all do.
So we watch her.
Yeah.
I mean that night that she won the million, oh my God, that was just, and made a bit of money on it too.
Yeah.
When she made the $1 million, that was just brilliant.
Oh, I think anyone in this game, if you're just selling them and then that's the end, you won't stay in it for very long. That is part of the real excitement is breeding horses. The sale comes halfway through their career basically, and you need to make some money to keep it going. But then the racetrack is the ultimate, and so to have a filly winning the Karaka Million, we were lucky enough that, you know, we'd had another horse come off the farm 2 years earlier and win the Karaka Million. So that's the most satisfying part of it, is actually the ultimate in breeding is to breed high quality racehorses.
Well, I've got one very demanding owner in this horse, that's my wife Jessica, and so she's got a small share, so she keeps me on my toes, and it's been a lot of fun for us. For me personally, has been the syndicator with a big group, 34 people who are owners of the horse, but also the fact that Jessica's got a share as well, it's made it pretty special.
I know, John, around the stables the horses get pet names, and there's a bit of a story behind Melody Belle's name, isn't there?
Yes, well, we like to name our horses after sports stars generally with their stable names, and so for Melody Belle we'd chosen the name Valerie after Valerie Adams, so she's Valerie around the stable.
And you actually ended up meeting Valerie, didn't you?
Yes, the real Valerie Adams. I was on a flight from Shanghai back to Auckland in May, and I realised that I'd spotted Valerie Adams and her family in the lounge, and then she was in the same cabin as me on the way home, so I went up and had a talk to her and explained the story about Melody Belle and how we'd nicknamed her after herself. and I think she was quite humbled by that, to think that someone had called a really good racehorse after her, you know.
Yeah, my grandparents came out here in the early 1920s from Italy, and I was brought up in Wellington in, I suppose you'd say, a Italian fishing community in Island Bay, which is the southernmost point of the North Island, just out of Wellington. Yeah, very fortunate to grow up there. We had a great upbringing as children there.
Where did the love of horses come from?
Well, from an early age, my mother and father owned racehorses. They always had 4 or 5 horses and worked in conjunction with the Mulo family. And the next generation is obviously in it now with Luigi at Novara and Tony living in Sydney. My father was in business with the Mulos for most of his working life, and they owned boats, etc. together. And my father and Tony and Luigi's father worked on the same boat for about 30 years. So, yeah, a very close family tie there. As a result, we were regular racegoers at Trentham, and in the real halcyon days when the northern trainers used to come down, and it was an amazing carnival in Wellington. And in the school holidays, I'd go and work in the stables, help out on race day with my parents' horses, and developed a love for the horse, and it sort of went from there, really.
And that became a career sort of as you got older? That was really what you focused on, the Bloodstock, or did you think that maybe there was another avenue that might have taken your fancy in the meantime?
It wasn't really a career path that I thought I would take. Our family business was fishing, so I was involved in that. And in that time I owned horses myself. I was very fortunate that my late father-in-law, Bill Wiley, was a great horseman, a gentleman of the highest order, and he taught me a lot and introduced me to clients from Hong Kong. He was private trainer for another great man called Dr. Bill Louis. And yeah, from there, Hong Kong people came out. They wanted to look at horses. They had no one to show them around. I knew the form well. I didn't really know the animal that well. And from there, I just drove them around the North Island for about a week, and they ended up buying 3 horses.
And you said you knew the form well, but not the horses. How did you sort of develop that side of it?
Well, again, through my father-in-law. He was an expert on horse anatomy. And at sale time, just following experts around or trying to shadow experts like Joss Collins from the BBA. He was a legend in his own right. And top vets like Kim McKellar from Melbourne. Just following them around, asking them questions. They would point out faults, etc. And from there, read as many books as I could on conformation, watched as many videos as I could on it, and just slowly picked it up. And as you look at thousands of sets of legs every year, it becomes second nature after a while.
I've watched you at the races and at the trials, and you're always there with a video camera, and that's probably something I haven't seen from other people. What inspired that, and what do you think is the benefit of having all that information? From the start, Emily, it was all about trying to take the horse to the buyer without them having to come and look at it. I just put myself in their situation. What would they want? So, yeah, videoing the horse on as many angles as possible and as many gaits as possible, and packaging that information up, editing it, sending it with their pedigree along with their races and trials if they have raced and trialled. But everything that I record, I keep it, and you might record a horse tomorrow and then it might show up 18 months later, and at least you've got something on it that you can show the buyers. And what about how sort of technology has changed? You see everybody now and they whip out their iPhone and videos here and there. Has that changed for you as well? It probably made the other agents and buyers catch up a lot quicker. But yeah, it was just something that it's out of my control, obviously. So no, I just keep doing what I'm doing, and hopefully, you know, it's all about retaining your buyers and repeat business, really. So everyone has, each agent more or less has their own buyers. Everyone has their own camp, so to speak. So really my
forte, my core business is buying horses from the trials and the races. I normally buy 30 to 40 every year at Karaka through weanling sale, yearling sale, ready to run sale for various buyers. And success has come across the board from all avenues really, but I would say that buying trial horses and race horses is probably a little bit easier because their form is exposed. You can see them at full gallop, you can vet them properly, you know the form. So yeah, if I'm spending other people's money, I prefer to buy trial and race horses as opposed to yearlings.
What is your criteria of things that you are really strongly feel about when you're selecting horses?
I'm mainly looking for movement and athleticism, balance, temperament, conformation, value. Yeah, I'd say those are the sort of the main things, but really it's more about type than pedigree for me.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, if they're a great type with a great pedigree, normally they're 2DS. So, I mean, I like to try and buy horses on the low and sell them on the high. That's, to me, the correct equation, not the other way around.
So if we get on to some of the highlights of your career, you've sourced 22 individual Group 1 winners to date. That's quite the record. Do you remember the first ever one that you got?
It was a horse called Lord Luskin for a syndicator in Australia by the name of Ian Lewis. I got onto Ian just by chasing a lead and ended up selling him Lord Luskin. At the time, he'd probably had about a dozen starts for 4 wins and 5 or 6 placings. He looked a nice horse on the way up. He was by Star of Luskin, who was a $2,000 stallion. But he was a promising horse. Errol Skelton trained him. And I think we paid $60,000 for him. And he went to Leon Corsten's great trainer. And yeah, he ended up winning the Vic Health Cup. That was the first Group 1 winner in the late 90s.
How early on did that come, sort of after you first started out?
Well, if I can just go back a step, when I bought these 3 horses for the first people in Hong Kong, it took me about another 5 years to sell the next horse, so it was real struggle street for a long time.
Yeah.
But Lord Luskin came after I'd been going for about 6 or 7 years.
And of course, most recently you had Vinda Dance winning a New Zealand derby. How special was that?
Extremely special. He was actually my 3rd New Zealand derby when I bought Military Move out of the Ready to Run sale. And he went on to win the derby for Sean Ritchie, as we all know, and then Ginger Nuts last year out of the weanling sale, and Vinda Dance this year. So to win 3 is really special. But I think Vinda Dance was sort of the most satisfying. I'd seen him at the farm prior to the Ready to Run. Paul Patab did a bit of work on him earlier, a very good judge, and he told me that he liked this horse. And from there he went to Jamie Beatson's, and Jamie liked him as well. So I had a little bit of early information on him, and when I saw him, I really liked him myself, obviously. I loved his breeze up, I loved him as a physical type. I really like Rock to Cams as a sire. I think he's a really underrated sire of stayers. And I mentioned him to Terry Henderson of OTI, and I said, if we can get this horse, we should be trying to get him. He says, what do you think he'll make? I says, around 80. He was passed in at 55. We ended up paying 70 for him. And the rest is history, really, yeah.
Many chances at the 100. Endowment, Vinda Dance, Mongolian Conqueror. Mongolian Conqueror, Vinda Dance, kicks on the inside. These are the 2. Vinda Dance, Mongolian Conqueror, they hit it. I think Vinda Dance for Mongolian Conqueror in the derby. It's very close, though.
The fact that my great friend Jason Waddell rode him, and it was an inch-perfect ride, and it was a huge time for Jason as well, having lost his mum not long before that. So the fact that we sort of did it together, it was very satisfying. And the fact that, because I said early in the preparation, let's see if we can get Jason on, and they didn't really know who he was. And I said, just trust me here, this guy can really ride. And Terry Henderson was there on the day as well, which made it even more special.
You speak about Terry and OTI racing. How did you come about with that association? I
was sending videos to Lee Friedman at the time, and it was around the Doremus era. And Lee suggested that I should contact Terry, which I did. And it wasn't long we'd been going, and we got Kibbutz, who won the Victoria Derby for us in 2007. So it was obviously a great start with OTI, and we had a fantastic season last season with Vinda Dance. We had Aloysia win the 1,000 guineas. She wasn't an expensive filly, so we had the leading star in New Zealand, the high-weighted filly in Australia. So no, I've had a great run with them, and they're amazing people to deal with, and they have a great reputation. Yeah.
Out of all of the horses that you've bought, is there one that stands out for you or that has particular significance to you?
There's a few really over the years, like Coco Cabana was a really special horse for me. It was one of the first horses that I bought for Gay Waterhouse. She won the AJC Oaks and the Metropolitan. She was real special for obvious reasons. Herculean Prince won the Metropolitan for Gay as well, and that was Gay's 100th Group 1 winner, so that was special. I had an extremely good horse with Laurie Laxon in Singapore called Better Than Ever. He was champion 3-year-old and 4-year-old. He won his first 12 races in a row. Incredible horse. Ginger Nuts is another special horse, especially going back-to-back derbies. Yeah, they're sort of the main ones, and along with Desperado, who won a Caulfield Cup for us. It's been amazing working for trainers like Gay Waterhouse, and I did that for a long time. And my relationship was really with her husband, Rob, who was an outstanding form analyst. And every Monday morning or Sunday morning, I would send him a list of what had run well that week, and then he'd make his own assessment and would go for there. So it was an absolute pleasure to work for them, and we had a lot of social occasions together, my family and their family, which was obviously very special. They're wonderful people, and Gay's obviously a great horse trainer. I've been lucky enough to have a very good relationship with Laurie Laxon, especially when he went to Singapore. As you know, Laurie won 9 premierships up there, so it was great to be a part of that. We had a lot of success. I think we won the Guineas either 6 or 7 times up there. Wow. So that was obviously a really special relationship. But other people as well, like Kieran Maher. I've done well with Kieran, Mick Kent, John O'Shea. Yeah, lucky enough to work alongside those sorts of names in the industry. And I'm lucky enough now that I'm buying or assisting Luca Kamani buying his yearlings, which is an obvious pleasure for such an icon of the industry, you know, such a famous man and a gentleman of the highest order to go with it. Yeah.
How did that come about, your relationship with the Kamanis?
Through Terry Henderson again at OTI. Terry had horses in work in Newmarket with Luca, and they wanted to come to New Zealand and have a look at New Zealand, and their 2 children, Matthew and Francesca, were living in Australia. And it wasn't much further to come on, and they had a very good relationship, well, they have a very good relationship with Lady Tavistock, their personal friends. So it was only a matter of time before they arrived at Karaka, and they did. The first time they came, it was sort of halfway through the select sale, and they wanted to have a look at some horses. Terry said, they're coming, can you find them something to look at? So I did, and they ended up buying quite a nice filly. And they liked New Zealand, and then they came back and they bought 4 the following year and 5 last year. So no, it's an absolute pleasure to work for those sorts of people.
Guardate nei prati fioriti, che splendore di bimbi.
So we've covered the initials, the day 1 and 2. This one's slightly more advanced, isn't it? This is day 3 of...
That's right, yes. Yeah. So we start to advance in the leading a little bit more. The mare will stand still and the foal will start to lead a bit more independently.
Okay, yeah.
This filly on her first day kicked. Really kicked, yeah.
Okay.
So typically they would, if anything, they'd kind of pop their bum up to warn, and but no, she straight away kicked and aimed at me. So
she's got funny ears, hasn't she? Like
they're quite sideways in her expression
yeah.
at the moment, aren't they? So we'll see how she goes.
So they're still going through the same, foundation behaviours. We're trying to set them up as racehorses, of course, and we're trying to have the least amount of stress as we can.
Yeah.
So we've got them in a small area, and we still position the mare in the same place, and the foal is coming up beside.
Yep.
And they're going to go through. What we do is always just increase a little bit more about what they're doing. So they always start the same. So Sally always go through and do their feet and just see how it is.
Are you happy with her progress into day 3?
Really pleased. Not only did she not kick on her first and second sessions, she was really quite scared and anxious and resentful.
Okay.
So really expressive, putting her ears back at me and moving her head around a lot and looking quite anxious. And today she's mildly anxious but coping much better than she was. Really pleased with you.
The age-old argument of nature versus nurture. How do you stand on it with the foals?
Well, definitely, you know, we see nature all the time because we see them at 3 weeks of age, and yes, they're all different.
Yeah.
And I just think it's, you know, the more we understand, it's definitely about us nurturing, but them all as individuals.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, definitely there's nature, and definitely, of course, there's nurture. And that's what we're trying to do is, you know, set them up the best we can with the least amount of stress to be racehorses. That's what our, you know, we're into creating performance athletes, so, and this is where it all starts.
So this walk around the mare, she's doing well?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
it's the first time she's led without her mother.
Okay.
And you can see I'm starting to use the stop-go that we started training her yesterday, that you saw in the previous episode. So I'm starting to try that and see if she remembers that from her last session.
Which
That's
she
a
does.
lovely response to stop and go, because this is the first time she's not following the mare when that happens.
Yep. The mare looks like she's helping too. She's very sort of laid back.
She is.
She's like, train it up. So the foster mares, do you notice any difference with them?
Yes, yeah. Well, what's really interesting is that I thought initially we would notice a big difference because it's not their fault. There is no difference. You can literally never tell the difference between if the foal is genetically hers or not genetically hers. Yeah, it's fascinating to me. They do just such a good job of nurturing those foals.
Yeah.
Certainly nurture does have a huge role to play in how the mare parents.
Really, yeah.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
Do you get some good mums and bad mums?
We call them different parenting styles, yes, definitely. There's the laissez-faire, hands-off, someone else is always babysitting my foal approach to the maiden mare or the mares which are very conscious of their foal's every move and quite protective.
That's so funny,
the whole
isn't
range.
it? Yeah.
And because we're able to see the mares year after year, we see them move, kind of all grow into their motherhood as well.
Yeah.
So go from being that maiden mare with the first foal and not really knowing their job to experienced it, what they do.
I'm a maiden mare, you don't know what I'm going to do.
Exactly. Well, all I can say is paddock yourself with lots of older ones.
Yeah,
It'll be really
exactly.
helpful.
I need to give advice.
You want to learn from them, that's what I say.
Kiwi Bred is taking a break for the festive season, but we will return on January the 8th with a story on Libby and Sam Bleakley from Hyden Park, as well as dual Group 1 winner Grunt. From all of us at Kiwi Bred, a very Merry Christmas.